Saw Gerrera's partisans received little attention in the legends that emerged from the alliance to restore the Republic. The story of the rebellion is instead that of disparate cells that nobly battled the Empire before coming together into a cohesive whole. This narrative is perhaps necessary to sustain the legitimacy of the new Republic, but fails to recognize the actions of those who fought the Empire on their own terms, without whom victory might not have been possible. The Partisans emerged from the Clone Wars as a direct successor to the Onderon resistance movement. During the conflict, this group had fought a lengthy and costly campaign to overthrow King Sanjay and his separatist backers, and eventually succeeded in aligning the world of Onderon to the side of the Galactic Republic. The transition of the Republic into the Galactic Empire, however, was seen as a betrayal of all that had been won during the Clone Wars, and the Onderon resistance was reformed by one of its central figures, Saw Gerrera. The group was quickly labeled insurgents due to their vocal opposition to Emperor Palpatine's proclamation of the New Order. Concerned that their heroic reputation as freedom fighters during the Clone Wars might now undermine the nascent Imperial regime, Admiral Wilhuff Tarkin ordered Gerrera and his group to be hunted down and killed. In spite of numerous attempts to capture him, Saw Gerrera eluded Imperial authorities and began operating in the Outer Rim territories. Through his dealings with sympathetic mercenaries, smugglers, and defectors, his group, now known as the Partisans, were able to inflict significant damage on Imperial personnel and facilities. Among the group's most renowned exploits was the successful extradition of the scientist Galen Erso and his family off of Coruscant. The Partisans were later active on Kashyyyk, attempting to interrupt the Empire's exploitation and weaponization of the world's natural resources. Despite these successes, the tactics of the Partisans were extreme and often involved significant civilian casualties. The Partisans were known to torture captured Imperial personnel, deliberately target high-ranking Imperial officers, and slaughtered those who attempted to surrender. A massacre committed at Saw's order at the Sakula Blossom Festival was particularly ruthless, and led to many of his followers abandoning the Partisans for less extreme rebel cells. Yet where the cruel actions of the Partisans turned away many, they also appealed to those who had suffered under the rule of the Empire. At its height, the Partisans grew to encompass several smaller subunits, and most notably a squadron of X-Wing and U-Wing starfighters known as the Cavern Angels. Notable future rebel leaders Benthic, Two Tubes, and Jyn Erso would be among those who served with the Partisans during their peak. Gerrera's growing mental instability, linked to the death of his sister during the Clone Wars, combined with the Partisans' unrepentantly savage actions, led to a growing rift with the mainstream Alliance leadership. Gerrera reportedly castigated later New Republic Chancellor Mon Mothma as a coward, and the Partisans were officially censored and denounced by the rebellion in return. Completely severed from the mainstream Alliance, Saw relocated the Partisans to Jeddah, hoping to leverage the world's significant religious importance to serve his own motives. His arrival galvanized the local resistance elements, leading to increasingly fierce skirmishes with the Imperial garrison. Saw Gerrera and many of his Partisans were killed when Jeddah was fired upon by the DS-1 battle station. While Saw's final actions would ultimately contribute to the destruction of that same weapon, the Partisans never recovered from the death of their leader. Multiple groups attempted to carry on Saw's legacy, namely an extremist cell known as the Dreamers, before they were destroyed by Imperial Special Forces. The rhetoric of the Alliance was always that their rebellion had been built on hope, yet the Partisans were a dark reminder that fear, anger, and hatred were not the tools of the Empire alone. Perhaps the greatest tragedy of their struggle was that the Partisans had no place in the future they had fought to win, destined to be swept away by the progress of history.
The Templin Institute investigates the nations, factions, and organizations of alternate worlds. Join other Templin Institute personnel on our Discord server, where discussions are held daily on the elements of world building, spaceship design, the best method of cooking rice, and other critical issues affecting alternate worlds. You'll find a link in the description.